of the last time that you knew something better than the person who was holding the mic? You could see all of their blind spots, and you knew exactly what was missing from whatever it is that they were saying from that lofty stage, and you said nothing. Recently, I consulted to a woman who wrote one of the landmark research papers in her field. I mean, this was a big deal, and people are citing it all over the place. The thing that's really fascinating though is her name is not what is cited. It's the institute's name that's being cited. They basically made her a footnote in her own research. And then, get this, when it was time for somebody to be invited to speak about that research, right? The expert that they invited was not this woman. It was somebody else. Let that sink in for a moment. What is it that you understand about the stakeholders, about the environment? What is it that you understand about that expert area itself that this person completely missed? Write that down right now. You can press pause on this video. I'm still gonna be here. And I want you to say it in just one sentence. Okay, great. This sentence, this is not a grudge. It's actually the seed that's going to serve you. It is the seed that's going to become the op-ed that you write, the talk that you give, or maybe the workshop that you run to actually fill in the gaps that are missing from what that expert was able to share. And by the way, give that expert their props because they just helped you understand and unlock something that is your IP. If you hadn't seen that, you wouldn't necessarily understand, oh wait, I see this from a different angle, and I know things that it seems like everybody else in this room is not necessarily privy to. So this whole video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what you do with that feeling when you're in a room, you see somebody giving expertise, but you should be the person who is at that pulpit, right? Like the woman that I was consulting with, who really should have been the keynote speaker speaking about her own research because hello, she knows this. We're not going to have you turn into a footnote. And this particular video is going to help you understand exactly which move to make, because here's the other thing, okay? Let's tell the truth. Sometimes you're in an environment where it's not safe for you to speak up. It's not safe for you to let that expert know wherever kind of stage that they're at, that like, actually, yeah, like you have the facts completely wrong. Or maybe it's not even that they have the facts completely wrong. Maybe it's just that they don't know this particular stakeholder, right? And you need to understand which move you make. Is it the move that you make when you're in an environment where it's safe for you to speak up? I'm going to give you the playbook to use in that situation. Or are you in a situation where I found myself not that long ago and you actually cannot speak up? It's actually smart of you to recognize like somebody else has been called here to play the expert. I know a little bit more about this area of expertise, but I'm going to keep my mouth shh if I'm about to get this paycheck that my family depends on, okay? This video is going to help you navigate both of those situations. Buckle in, it's gonna be a good one. Sometimes speaking up, even when you know more than the so-called expert, will actually cost you. And you're not crazy in that situation for keeping your mouth shut. You're actually smart. But here's the thing that I have a problem with. A lot of women, they stop there. Or they go to the WhatsApp group and like go on the whole, oh my God, and then he said this and da-da-da-da-da, and get your friends to feel sorry for you and to tell you how amazing you are. And that's the end of that and you feel better. Girl, we're not about to do that, okay? I'm gonna tell you right now, you need to get into action mode. All of the things that you feel, that kind of energy that's like, I know this better than anybody else. I don't understand why I'm not the person who is being called upon, because you understand maybe you're in a toxic environment. Use that energy and take what you know for a different platform where your name is actually being credited and not the institution. Here's some things that you could do. You could actually write an op-ed about your area of expertise. You could actually build a workshop that you pitch to the best next conference in your industry and run circles around everybody at that conference, showing off your excellence and how much you actually know this thing. Another thing that you could do, and I love this one, you could turn it into maybe just even bullet points of like, here's exactly what that expertise that was missing right now from the people who are touted as the experts. Write it down in bullet points, and then take those bullet points on a podcast tour. Give your point of view, and especially if your point of view is a little bit spicy, take it out on the road. Take it to maybe 3-5 different podcasts, and you don't have to stop at podcasts. It could be anything that is the people who are the media keepers and your industry are listening to those people. Take what you know, all those different bullet points, and share it there, not underneath the umbrella of your title or the place where you work, but with you, with your name. And also while you're at it, add the spice, add this personality, add how you know this, right? Like that also frees you up so much. You can talk about anecdotes of places before this current institution where you know you're not allowed to speak. That doesn't, like, why is that stopping you? You were you before these people, and you were doing this and displaying that expertise somewhere else. So take those receipts and put them on tour. You know, I'm not sharing this from a place on a pulpit. I'm actually sharing this to you as advice that I wish I had had when I was a little bit younger. I worked at this prestigious place. I literally built the fellowship from the ground up. We were serving multi-billion-dollar household names that you would recognize anywhere in the world. Those young executives, they were the people who were in the fellowship. It was not the kind of environment where I felt like I could just speak up, or where I felt, quite frankly, like my expertise would be welcomed and where I would be credited for my expertise. Remember, I'm South African, okay? That's one of my areas, like a deep area of expertise. And not just because I was born in South Africa. I'm also a writer who has studied South African history really deeply and understands it intimately. We brought in an expert, and God give him his flowers. This man was a Harvard Business School, like, you know, big deal, all the things. He had written a case study, and get this, he had written the case study about mining in South Africa. Such a layup. When I tell you, like, those people that he was writing about, those are my aunts and uncles. Those are people whose stories I not only grew up drinking, but I know them super intimately, right? And this was about the moral leadership. That was some missed opportunities and also some interesting things that happened at the moment. I heard, as this person was speaking, all of the things that were missing. I'm like, oh my God, oh, just let me add it. There's this particular part that you missed about how these stakeholders think. There's this particular angle that you're missing about the stakes of moral leadership in this particular environment. There were so many things. I was just itching. I was like, can you just let me have it? Let me add it. I was quiet. The whole time I learned how to keep my mouth shut. I mean, like, let's be honest, I'm not really good at keeping my mouth shut the entire time. So I found some things to raise, but the most substantive things that I wanted to bring to the table as critiques, I knew that this wasn't the right environment. What I wish I had known at the time was exactly this advice that I'm giving you now. Do not stop at going home later on and saying to your partner, oh my God, here's how my day went down. And would you believe the audacity and da da da. And here's what I would have said. No, what I needed at that moment was the wisdom to have taken what I knew and what I could see as here's what's missing, and take it to a platform that actually would welcome me. Years later, I started my own shop, and I was hosting these amazing keynotes with some of the biggest names on the planet. I'm talking about people like Nikki Giovanni giving a keynote, and she's coming to my platform. Joy Harjo, the first Native American US poet laureate. Arundhati Roy, who is one of the biggest literary household names around the planet. We were centering them, right? It was about their stories. But I also learned something that is critical that you can do, and here's the move, here's what you do when you actually have the platform, or when you're on somebody else's platform and it is safe for you to speak up. In our introductions of these keynote speakers, we would use those moments to position ourselves and what we were doing and our expertise, quite frankly, right? We use those introductions not to read a formal bio because, Number one, these are household names. And number two, I'm always confused when people want to read bios because you think the audience doesn't know how to read. Like, what are we doing over here? Instead, use that moment before the keynote, before the person even opens their mouth, to showcase your expertise. And how do you do that? Position their talk. Tell the audience why this talk matters now for our times. And I'm not talking about becoming the kind of obnoxious person who wants to give a keynote before the keynote. No, don't do that. But help the audience understand why you as the host are having a conversation that actually like meets the gravitas of your guest, and showcase not only like what is beautiful about what the keynote speaker is doing, give them their flowers, but also don't be shy to let your own light shine in that moment. I want you to think about the one thing that you know that nobody else in your area of expertise is actually talking about the way that you specifically do. Or maybe they don't know how you know it the way that you do, right? Wherever you see the gaps, I want you to write that down. And then I want you to run the filter that we just walked through. Is it safe in your current place of work to actually speak up about your expertise and to also be showcased for your expertise? Or do you run the risk of becoming the footnotes? If that's the case, I want you to run the playbook that I already handed you. Take it to a conference that is the premier conference in your industry, but not under the name of your institute, under your own name. Write an op-ed. Put together a webinar where you invite some of the biggest experts in your field and host something that is just an enrichment day for people in your industry. Again, if you're going to do this, make sure that you showcase your own expertise the same way that I just shared I did when I had keynotes with some of the biggest names in the world, right? It's not enough for you to just invite people. You also need to speak, and you also need to make your platform work for you. Take it on a podcast tour, the way that we spoke about earlier. There's so many different ways, if your environment right now is unsafe, to take your expertise and make it something that you not only own, but something that you're being credited for outside of your organization. And if you are at a place where you actually can speak, where it is safe, it's welcomed, and you will be credited for your work and your intellectual property, then girl, like, you need to not only write down what the thing that you see that's missing is, but also write down a strategy of how are you going to get the word out and get your credit alongside the institute for having published. Maybe it's a piece of research that you're working on. Maybe it's a talk that you pitch to your boss and you're like, the next time we sponsor this particular event, I need to be the person who gives the morning plenary or the morning keynote. Are you catching on? Good. Just because you know more than the person who's holding the mic, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be the person who's invited to speak. You actually have to not tell us that you know more than the person holding the mic, because then it sounds like grudges and then it don't sound so pretty. Prove it to us. Show us what you know. Use that as fuel for you to show us exactly what you know and how you know it. I don't want you to end up as the footnote in your own research. That's not going to happen to you. Nobody's going to erase your name. But for that to be true, you actually need to take action. My name is Maho Khodi. This is Madam Speaker Says. Thank you so much for joining me here. I will see you on the next video. And I just want to remind you, if you really got some value out of this particular video, please subscribe. And also leave me a comment right now to let me know, have you ever been in an environment where it was unsafe for you to speak? And were you the kind of person who either kept quiet or kept quiet and said something later on to your partner or to your girlfriend group on the WhatsApp chat? Or did you do the thing that's rare where you used what you know to actually leverage, to catapult you into the next opportunity? A, B, C. I just gave you 3. You can let me know in comments. I read all of the comments. I'm so excited to hear from you. Thank you, and I will see you in the next video.